Big changes, things reopening. I like that here on this last day of March. It's March 31st. Time now 6 a.m. So glad you're with us. I'm Eric Connor.
Yes, thanks so much for joining us. And you know, it's not an April Fool's joke. A lot will be opening tomorrow. April 1st is a big one for so many people.
Exactly.
Big changes.
We're putting all the jokes behind us here for all those reopenings. Let's check in with Evan now. No joke with the wind, though, out there.
No, I had to bring my coffee with me because I'm still barely awake on our Wednesday. But if you're stepping outside, it is going to be a breezy one and a hot one. Take a look at your forecast highs this afternoon. We're saying goodbye to those 60s that we saw along the coast yesterday. 82 is what we're expecting. And then up toward the North County coast, upper 80s, 87, 88 degrees, 88 inland, about 70s is what we're looking at across your mountains, and 80s for your deserts. Here's where your gusts are as we speak. Wind advisory expires at 3 p.m. We'll talk in more detail about what the rest of the week looks like coming up in just a bit. Jenny?
Well, traffic remains quiet, so here it is. You can see all your freeways. Most of them are in the green. Coronado Bridge, I know it's a little hard to see, but I can't zoom in. It's full. Its volume, basically, once you hop on the entire span there, you're moving at about 10 miles an hour. There are no crashes reported. Other than that, on the 78 at Broadway, those traffic lights are defective, so you're going to have to treat that like a stop sign.
New this morning, a man has died after crashing his Corvette in Rancho Bernardo. This happened around 12:30 this morning on the Bernardo Heights Parkway and Avenida Venusto. Officers say a 23-year-old man was speeding when he crashed into the back of a parked truck. Investigators tell us alcohol was a factor in the crash.
Our county is trying to keep up with the demand of the coronavirus vaccine while there's a lack of supply.
And this comes as more vaccination sites open while another will close once again. News 8's Chris Groh live in Del Mar now with a closer look at all this. Chris?
Hey, good morning, Eric and Netta. Look, this is impacting a lot of people whose appointments will need to be rescheduled for today and also Saturday and Sunday. Those are the days that this Del Mar super site will be closed here at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. But at the same time, take a look at this. The county is actually opening up brand new vaccine sites here to administer doses. We're seeing them in Escondido as well as Sherman Heights and another in Mountain View. But of course, with those new sites opening up and expanded eligibility starting soon, you might think that there is some concern that San Diego County and other counties may not be ready for more people to get a dose of the vaccine. But we are hearing from County Supervisor Nora Vargas, who said yesterday she expects the county supply to be increased soon. So they are projecting a bit of optimism there, especially when you talk about April 1st. And then 2 weeks later, a lot of vaccine eligibility opening up to those 15 and older and then 16 and older. So it's going to be key to get those vaccine doses in, especially for that new Mountain View site, which is part of the county's vaccine equity distribution plan. The new Mountain View site is a walk-up clinic that can administer up to 500 doses right now, but then eventually 1,000. Plus, right now it requires appointments, but it will eventually switch to a no appointment system.
We know that just this week we were able to increase vaccines by 23% from the state. So it's looking good for our communities.
And you can hear Supervisor Vargas there again projecting optimism about the amount of vaccines that are being administered, as well as she said in that press conference as well, too, that they do expect the supply to increase. For more on your vaccine eligibility, go to our website, cbs8.com, and click on that help button. Eric and Netta.
Chris Groh, thank you for that update. Well, today now day 3 in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, charged in the death of George Floyd.
Prosecutors are expected to call more witnesses to the stand here today. And Skylar Henry live in Minneapolis again here with a recap of yesterday's testimony. Skylar.
Eric, Netta, good morning to you. Well, we'll pick back up today with that off-duty firefighter who was actually there during the time of the incident between George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. This comes after a day of emotional testimony inside of the courtroom, including that teenager who caught that video that many of us have seen that went viral.
An off-duty firefighter testified in the Derek Chauvin trial that she wanted to help George Floyd, but insists a police officer wouldn't let her.
He said something along the lines of, if you really are a Minneapolis firefighter, you would know better than to get involved.
Genevieve Hansen is expected to take the stand again.
Did call the police on the police.
Right. And why did you do that?
Because I believe I witnessed a murder.
During his second day on the stand, Donald Williams listened as his 911 call was played for the jury.
Yeah, me gonna do next the whole time.
The court also heard from a teenager who recorded the widely seen video of Floyd's arrest. Darnella Frazier's testimony was given off camera because of her age.
I stayed up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more.
During cross-examination, defense attorney Eric Nelson portrayed the witnesses as part of an increasingly hostile crowd. That made it difficult for officers to concentrate on their job.
It's fair to say that as you were there, you grew angrier.
Correct. You can't paint me on as angry. I was in a position where I had to be controlled.
Chauvin faces up to 40 years in prison if convicted of the most serious charge against him. And so in addition to that firefighter, we're also expected to hear from medical experts today that the prosecution will call on. They're expected to speak to why they believe that it was in fact Derek Chauvin's restraint that played a factor in killing George Floyd. Guys.
All right, Skylar, a lot more to come. Thank you so much for that.
And throughout the trial, we will be getting perspective from our local leaders. Coming up at 6:30, we will talk to community activist Tasha Williamson. Stay with News 8 for complete coverage of the trial of Derek Chauvin. We will be covering it here on CBS 8 and our sister station, the CW San Diego. You can also follow us for updates across our social media platforms, on the News 8 app, and at CBS8.com.
New this morning, 82 migrant teenagers being housed at the downtown convention center have now tested positive for COVID-19. That number has gone up a bit since yesterday. There are now more than 700 girls staying at the temporary shelter. The girls who tested positive for COVID, they're isolating on a different floor. So far, no one has required hospitalization. And officials say they do expect another group of 250 girls to arrive there today.
Our county's COVID case rate continues to drop, but not enough to move us to the less restrictive orange tier. The adjusted case rate is now to 4.9. The county must drop below 4 and remain there for 2 straight weeks before moving down into the orange tier. Also, keep in mind, when the state hits 4 million doses delivered to underserved communities, San Diego will likely move to the orange tier. 3.4 million doses have been delivered there so far. If it does happen, retail stores, shopping centers, and malls will no longer have a set capacity. Restaurants, museums, zoos, places of worship, and movie theaters would go up to 50% capacity. Gyms and fitness centers increase to 25% capacity. Bars that don't serve food will be able to open outdoors. The move also loosens restrictions on outdoor live events and amusement parks. County health officials are reporting 227 new COVID cases, 8 new deaths to report, bringing the total now in our county to just over 555. COVID-related hospitalizations are down to 181.
And new this morning, a big development in the push to get kids vaccinated. Pfizer now saying that its COVID-19 vaccine is safe and effective for kids as young as 12 years old. The company's vaccine is already authorized for ages 16 and up, but this could clear the way to get younger teens vaccinated by the time they go back to school in the fall.
Take a look outside on this Wednesday. A little windy out there.
Yeah, very much so. Wind advisory in effect right now until about 3 p.m. So quite a while on that. Looks like outside right now we're mostly in the 50s. It's not necessarily cold, but when you factor in wind chill, even though that's not much of a factor with 50-degree temperatures, it still can feel colder than it actually is out there. So there are some 40s on the map. Poway right now at 46 degrees, El Cajon at 49, downtown San Diego at 54. Now by the afternoon, we're going to start to see those wind gusts die down, but between now and about 3 p.m., you see a lot of purple on the screen. So that means that the gusts around about the inland valleys and up to the mountaintops are going to fluctuate quite a bit, moving into the 40 and 50 mile per hour range at times. Along the coast will mostly be in the teens, won't be too intense. And then past about 4:30 is when we see those winds die down for the most part. Now today and tomorrow are the notably warm days out there. We have upper 80s and mid 80s expected. The cool down that we see comes Friday through Sunday, but even with that cool down, we only drop down to the 70s. So widespread 70s expected for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those 70-degree temperatures are still going to be, in some cases, about 10 degrees above average for this time of year. So I hesitate to say that it will be much of a cool down. It will be very gradual and also bring in a few clouds by Easter Sunday, but still sticking to a very warm trend out there. Average for this time of year would be 66, and you notice on that 5-day, everything was above that, so it'll be above average. Record territory would be above 84 degrees. Some of our models put us at 83 for the forecast high in downtown San Diego. That means we're going to be possibly a degree away from matching that record high set back in 1910, more than 100 years ago. So we'll see if we get there. Just going to see how much we warm up this afternoon, all dependent on those Santa Ana winds and how much dry and warm air comes our way.